Basic concepts approach one's view point toward teaching. Method, a series of related and progressive acts performed by a teacher and students to achieve the objectives of the lesson. Technique, the personal art and style of the teacher in carrying out the procedures of teaching. Strategy, set of deci- set of decisions to achieve an objective that results in a plan. Instructional tactics, instructional activity, delivery mode, conditions under which instruction is to be offered to the learner. Media, manner through which an instructional message is communicated. Types of lesson used in presenting new fact, principle, procedure, generalization, skill, or a new knowledge. Steps 1. Preparation. Review facts and recall old experiences related to the new lesson. Establish objectives. 2. Development. Lead the class to examine, analyze, compare, contrast, generalize, observe, judge, or direct something to achieve objectives. Objectives. 3. Application. Use what has been learned in a new situation or practice activities. For all lesson, this is the second part. One is developmental lesson used in presenting a new fact, principle, procedure, generalization, skill, or a new knowledge. Kanikay. Second, for old lesson, review lesson used in presenting a new view of old facts and concepts in a broader setting that results in a new meanings, associations, relationships, and ways of acting. Steps 1. Preparation. Define the need to review, specify the purpose of the review, recall concepts and previously learned. 2. Review proper or activities. Use any of a combination of the following: problem-solving skill, comparison scheme, concept scheme, activity scheme, open book exercises, imaginative or creative, condensing selected reference reading. 3. Further application. Use new learnings in a new situation. Drill lesson used in fixing certain items of knowledge or relations for ready recall. Steps 1. Motivation, arousing the need for the skill or activity. 2. Focalization, focusing learners' attention on the specific facts, habits, or skills to be drilled on. 3. Repetition with attention, repeating learning materials meaningfully. 4. Application, using what has been learned in new situation. 2. Methods of teaching. Two types of teaching methods: direct approach and experiential approach. Direct approach is expository strategies, while experiential approach is exploratory strategies. Under sa direct approach, which is expository strategies kay deductive, expository, and demonstrative. Under sa exploratory strategies, under siya sa experiential approach kay inductive, problem solving, discovery, laboratory, reflective, inquiry, constructivism, metacognition. 1. Direct methodologies. Expository. When to use direct instruction, expository strategies, then guided instruction, exploratory strategies. Kay Sa direct instruction, expository strategies kay types of subject matter kay content-oriented. While sa guided instruction, exploratory strategies kay experience-oriented. Ang desired outcomes sa expository ug sa exploratory kay sa expository factual information, while exploratory is development, formulation of concept, principles, skills, attitudes, and values. Ang learning environments kay sa expository kay similar, while sa exploratory strategies kay different. Sa expository strategies, ang constraints kay information directly available, no effort to look for it, while sa exploratory strategies kay information not available needs to be discovered yet. Mga to siya. Ay, maganda. While sa expository, ang characteristics kay less delivery time, sa exploratory kay more delivery time. Sa expository, utilizes expositive strategies such as directed teaching, deductive process, teacher-controlled method, less student involvement, passive to active, while sa exploratory kay utilizes discovery strategies such as inquiry teaching, inductive process, teacher-facilitated method, high student involvement, o active interactive. Deductive teaching kay what process of teaching that starts with a rule of general statements that is applied to specific cases. Examples: when to use when pupils are asked to test a rule or further develop it to answer questions or solve problems by referring to laws, principles, and theories. Steps kay statement of the problem, state real-life cases, situations, problems. 2. Statement of a generalization or rule, recall two or more generalizations, rules, definitions, or principles. Select one which will be the solution to the problem. 3. Apply the rule. Test the rule to specific cases or problems. Then, for further verification of the rule, try out the rule using other examples. Determine the validity of the inference by consulting accepted authorities. Expository or didactic method kay what a telling method where facts, concepts, principles, and generalizations are stated, presented, defined, interpreted by the teacher, and followed by the application or testing of these concepts, principles, and generalizations in new examples generated by students. When to use, when there is an immediate need of a relevant information to make the students understand a part in the lesson. When information is not available and time can be saved by the teacher directly telling it. 3. When an idea or principle can be best be learned only by explanation. 4. When the source material is not accessible to the students. How? Steps. Expository teaching of concepts. Step 1. Teacher presents concepts and definition. Expository teaching principles and generalization kay teacher states rules, principles, generalization. Step 2. Teacher presents and links concepts with related higher concepts. Teacher explains concepts within a principle or generalization. Step 3. Teacher presents positive and negative examples. Teacher presents positive and negative examples. Then step 4. Teacher presents positive and negative examples. Same lang po sa concepts niya of principles and generalization. Step 4 teacher. Students classifies examples as either positive or negative. Students classifies and explain examples either positive or negative. Same lang siya sa step 5 kay student provides additional examples. Student provides additional some examples, expository teaching of concepts and expository teaching principles and generalization. Same lang. Ang demonstration, what? Telling and showing method performed usually by a teacher or a trained student while the rest of the class becomes observers. When to use? 1. When focus is significant but apparatus is needed. 2. When school lacks facilities for every student. 3. When equipment is too sophisticated, expensive, or dangerous. 4. When lesson requires skill in investigative procedure, technical know-how. Tapos, how to use step 1, preparation, motivation, clarifying objective. Step 2, explaining concept, theory, process, performance. Step 3, demonstration of correct process involved in a theory or performance. Step 4, discussion, practice. Feedback on elements of process. Step 5, transfer to real world. 2. Experiential methodologies, exploratory, inductive teaching. What? An exploratory method of logic where one arrives at a fact, principle, truth, or generalization. Studying, observing, comparing many instances or cases in several instances to discover the common element and form generalization, formulating a conclusion, a definition, a rule, a principle, or a formula based on knowledge of examples and details. When to use? 1. When the rule, concept, truth, principle, or generalization is important enough to justify the time devoted to the lesson. 2. When the pupil has the ability to form and state the rule, principle, truth, or generalization by themselves through comparison and abstraction of instances. How? Step 1, preparation. Set an perceptive basis by reviewing all facts or lessons that can be utilized as a background for the new. Motivate by arousing the need to achieve the objective. State the aim, which may be in the form of a problem or goal statement. Step 2, preparation. Present specific cases, instances, and examples to the class. Step 3, comparison and abstraction. Discover and identify the common element among the specific cases and instances presented. Step 4, generalization. State the common element deducted from the specific instances, examples as a concept, a generalization, a rule, a definition, a principle, or a formula. Step 5, application. Use the learned concept, generalization, rule, and principle in the new situations. Discovery teaching. What? A method in which thoughts are synthesized to perceive something that the individual has not known before. The learners gets directly involved in learning. Learning is a result of the learner's own internalized insight, reflection, and experience. How? Inductive discovery. Step 1, presenting the following specific examples, instances for observation, discussion. Step 2, identifying attributes of the common elements. Step 3, discussing the elements of other examples. Step 4, noting the common elements among the given examples. Step Step 5. Stating a main idea based on the common elements. Step 6. Checking the main idea against the new examples. Deductive discovery. Step 1. Presenting a main idea that can be checked against evidence. Step 2. Finding supporting evidences or examples for the main idea. Step 3. Stating why the evidence is supporting the main idea. Step 4. Finding other evidence or proof of the main idea. Problem-solving method. What? Problem is a felt difficulty in a situation that needs to be removed. Problem solving is any purposeful activity that will remove a recognized difficulty or perplexity in a situation through the process of reasoning. When to use? When the goal is 1. To sharpen the power to think, reason, and create new idea. 2. To learn how to act in difficult situations. 3. To improve judgment. When how identification and recognition of the problem, discussion of the key elements of the problem, statement of hypothesis, proposal of solutions, collection and interpretation of related evidence or evidences, critical evaluation of suggested solutions, verification of accepted solutions. If acceptable, use the solution to solve the problem. If not, prepare another solution. Project method. What? A significant practical unit of an activity of a problematic nature, carried on by students in a lifelike manner and in a natural setting. It may be a construction, an enjoyment, a problem, or a learning project. When to use? 1. When problems in life situation exist. 2. When learners initiate and impose the tasks on them. 3. When time and materials are available. 4. When there is a decided advantage over other methods in meeting the needs. 5. When training in cooperation, perseverance, open-minded creativity is needed. Steps. Purposing, determining goals and activities cooperatively. 2. Planning, deciding on the activities. 3. Executing, carrying out activities. 4. Evaluating, judging the finished products, results against the goals. Laboratory method. What? A set of first-hand learning activities within the individual investigates a problem, conducts experiments, observes processes, or applies theories and principles in a simulated setting. Why use? To cultivate students' skills in the basic science processes. 2. To enhance higher order thinking skills. 3. To induct learners to scientific processes. How? Preparation, motivation, goal setting, orientation. Muna ang 1 ang preparation. 2. Supervised work, working on the problem. 3. Culmination, organizing findings. 4. Reporting findings, communicating results. Inquiry teaching. What? Learners are confronted with a puzzling situation and are led to enter to investigative work to solve the problem. Steps. Step 1. Presentation of a problem or puzzling situation by teacher, by class, by learner himself. Step 2. Defining problems, list questions. Step 3. Gathering and appraising information. Step 4. Organizing informations, answer questions. Step 5. Drawing conclusions. Step 6. Evaluating conclusions, answers to questions, thinking processes used. Then reflective teaching. What? An ongoing process that enables individuals to continually learn from their own experiences by considering alternative interpretations of situations, generating and evaluating goals and examining experiences in the light of alternative goals and hypotheses. A teaching approach that brings the individuals to continually learn from their experiences through thoughtful analysis of their own experiences, actions, decisions, beliefs of the light of alternative goals and hypotheses. The act of teaching that focuses thought on certain phenomenon through inspection, introspection, and analysis. How? Reflective teaching as experiential learning cycle. Concrete experiences to observation and analysis, then abstraction, reconceptualization, active experimentation, then nagtuyok-tuyok ra na siya sa 4 stages in reflective teaching. Stages 1. Concrete experience. Instructional activities kay identify problematic situation. 2. Observation and analysis. Observation. Gather information about the experiences, beliefs, values, intentions, attitudes, feelings, and actions. Describe the experience in a multi-dimensional and comprehensive way. Analysis. Reflective analysis of the experience by individual and group. Examine both actions and outcomes. 3. Abstract. Reconceptualization. Active and self-directed search for new ideas and new strategies. Reshape theories. Engage in creative self-definitional approach for active experimentation. Frame as hypothesis, newly acquired conceptualizations, test assumptions, and new conceptualizations. Metacognitive teaching approaches. What a teaching approach where learners are learned to become aware of and exert control over their own learning by using metacognitive processes. How? Through the use of the following metacognitive processes. 1. Planning, deciding what my goals are and what strategies to use to get there. 2. Deciding what further knowledge or resources I need. 3. Monitoring progress along the way. Am I going in the right direction? 4. Evaluating when I have arrived. And 5. Terminating when the goals have been met. Heuristic or self-questioning strategy. Before, when you are developing the plan of action, ask yourself, what in my prior knowledge will help me with this particular task? In what direction do I want my thinking to take me? What should I do first? Why am I reading this selection? How much time do I have to complete the task? When you are monitoring the plan of action, ask yourself, how am I going? How am I doing? Am I on the right track? How should I proceed? What information is important to remember? Should I move in a different direction? Should I adjust the pace depending on the difficulty? What do I need to do if I do not understand? After, when you are evaluating the plan of action, ask yourself, how well did I do? Did my particular course of thinking produce more or less than I had expected? What could I have done differently? How might I apply this line of thinking to other problems? Do I need to go back through the task to fill in any blanks in my understandings? A strategy for developing metacognitive awareness. 1. Knowing when you know. Guide students in the use of reading, writing, and reasoning process. Repeat successful experience with the process. 2. Knowing what you know. What is known when you know. Awareness of acquired knowledge and understanding. 3. Knowing what you need to know. subjects, concepts can be studied at multiple levels of sophistication. Pu- Push the boundaries of knowledge as far as one can. Learning processes, reading, writing, reasoning, grow as the learner grows, becoming more selective as information becomes more dense, becoming more creative in the blend of resources, becoming more elaborative in the synthesis of ideas. Cooperative learning strategy. What? A type of work in which two or more students interact with a common goal of mastering specific academic materials. Two essential components. One, cooperative task. Two, cooperative incentive structure. Students are encouraged and motivated to help one another to learn rather than compete against each other. They are dependent upon the efforts of one another to achieve success. They are rewarded on the basis of the learning of all team members. How? Sample approaches. STAD or student teams achievement approach by Slavin. 1. Academic information are presented each week through verbal text. 2. Students are divided into learning teams for members heterogeneous. 3. Team members help one another to master the academic materials using worksheets, tutoring, quizzing one another, and team discussion, etc. 4. Quizzes are administered weekly or bi-weekly and scored, and each student is given improvement score. 5. Improvement score is recorded based on the degree to which the scores exceed the student's past averages. 6. Individual improvement scores are added to given a team score. 7. Team success is acknowledged through short newsletter containing the learning outcomes. Jigsaw 1 by Dronson, etc. etc. 1. Student is assigned to heterogeneous study home teams. 2. Academic material divided into clearly defined sections is presented to the students in text form. 3. Within each team, one student is responsible for mastering each section. 4. The team split into specialist group. Student responsible for section 1 of the materials meets with corresponding students from each other. So from each other, from other groups. 5. Each member of the specialist group helps one another in the same material referred to as task specialization. 6. Each student in the specialist group returns to his home team and teaches each other members. 7. Following home teams discussions or quizzes given individually. 4. Techniques of teaching. 1. Questioning techniques. Wait time. Ask a question. Wait and call a student to respond. Ask questions that are stimulating and thought-provoking. Logically sequenced, grammatically correct, challenging, clear and simple, diversified, relevant to students' background of experiences, and those that demand fuller response, require a well-rounded reply, vary in length, are commensurate with students' abilities. Directing. Ask the question and then call a student's name. Avoid fixed, predictable order when calling students' names. Call on non-volunteers who manifest signs that they know the answers. Do not embarrass students because of their inability to answer the questions. Redirecting. Ask the question, call a student to answer, and call again another student to correct, elaborate, or extend the previous answers. Use redirecting questions question for high achieving students. Proving. Ask the question again if a student fails to answer. Rephrase or simplify, but stay on the same student. Use proving for low achieving students. Staying with the same student, ask follow-up questions to clarify, rephrase the question, or ask related questions and restate students' ideas. Avoid cross-examination when proving. Start with a series of easier questions leading toward the answer. If the student responds correctly, follow with a related question. Do not overdo proving. 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 Two discussion techniques panel, informal discussion of a topic by a group of 4 to 6 students led by a chairman. Each student gives a key opening statement about the topic. Symposium, more formal in its setting than a panel in which the students prepare in advance discussion points representing views of different people. Forum, similar to a panel in which a group of 5 to 6 students take turns in discussion with the class topics on hands. Round table, 5 to 6 students seated around a table discuss a topic problem among themselves and with the other class members. Bus session, 4 to 7 students meet together to share each other opinions, viewpoints, and reactions without formal preparations. Brainstorming, class members are asked to share their ideas regarding an issue, plan, or project. All suggestions are recorded. Decisions are made later by the whole class. Debate, formal speeches, pagbasa ni? Rebuttal, line for rebuttal. Rebuttal by sets of members of two opposing teams. 3. Simulation discussion techniques. Role playing. Class members are assigned to or adapt certain roles simulating a situation. Sociodrama. Portrayal of special scenes from history or literature. Jury trial technique. A simulation of courtroom procedure which engaged the students in research activity and a panel, the discussion of an issue. Management techniques, aspects of classroom management setting. Techniques, clear all identified traffic routes. Frequently used material should be kept in a readily accessible place. Establish rules for every learning station in the room. Arrange pieces of furniture that facilitate easy movement. Overall monitoring visibility and accessibility. Make explicit all procedures for getting, using, and returning materials. Instruction. Maintain effective flow, pacing, momentum, and transition from one topic to another. Observe effective techniques of questioning to maintain group alertness. Promote cooperation and cohesiveness by holding students accountable for classroom incidents. Ensure satisfaction and sense of progress and mastery through adjusting tasks and requirement to students' capability. Instruction to siya. Ang conduct kay prepare a wish list of desired behavior. State rules as desired behaviors. Limit rules to 6. Model and teach the rules. Display rules publicly. Apply disciplinary procedures consistently to all pupils. Link disciplinary procedures to students' inappropriate behavior. Deal immediately with all appropriate and inappropriate behaviors. Rewards for appropriate behavior should be appealing to students. Explicit state and consistently apply punishments. Check the deterrent value of penalties. Provide parents copies of school rules and their consequences for violations. Enlist participation of the principal and colleagues in the formulation and administration of school rules and in determining their positive and negative consequences, establish a conduct code, employ a low-profile classroom controls. Routine, identify daily activities that can be routinized to save time and effort. Inform students why routines are established. Climate, respect and value students as human beings. Inform freedom within reasonable limits. Stress group cooperation and cohesiveness over competition. Maintain an atmosphere of freeing rather than control. Relationship, make every student in the class feel he or she is valued. Be direct and honest with students and encourage them to do the same. Develop a sense of interdependence. Be personally involved rather than alienated. Sustain positive and constructive conversations with and among students. Employ corrective measure without sarcasm and ridicule. Employ communication that safeguards self-esteem and convey respect. Assess every student in building confidence. Part 2, analyzing test items. Mrs. Lopez flashes cards of mathematical combinations over and over again until the children have memorized these facts and are able to answer questions about them automatically. What type of lesson is the teacher engaged in? The answer is drill. Flashing cards of mathematical combinations over and over again for the purpose of memorizing and making a response automatic is option B, which is drill. Drill is intended to fix certain items of knowledge or relations for ready recall. Option C, which is practice, option A, which is practice, may be partially correct because in essence, drill is repetitive practice. However, the context of practice may involve application which is beyond the activity described in the item. Option C, which is development, is a type of lesson for presenting new facts and not a vocalization activity as the item described. Option D, review, is presenting a new view of old facts and concepts to establish new meanings and relationships more than simply fixing item of knowledge for retention. The best answer is option B, which is drill. Goodbye one. God bless always. Thank you for watching.